Welcome back to the final leg of our journey across northwest France. A guided holiday with Trafalgar through Chateau country in the Loire and coastal Normandy.
If people come to France and they just visit Paris, then they haven't seen the real country, they haven't experienced France and French culture. So that's why if people come with us with Trafalgar, we show them places that are off the beaten track. We'll show them the beautiful countryside, the beautiful scenery of France.
After enjoying the treasures of rural France, it's time to rediscover Paris, where our holiday ends with an insider's view of the popular French capital. This time around, we're skipping the famous sites like the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and the Arc de Triomphe, and heading straight to some hidden gems instead. Yes, even in one of the world's most visited cities, there are still some places and a few experiences not too many tourists know about. We showed you some in previous episodes, like the Passage Vivien, a shopping arcade hidden from view that leads to the tree-lined courtyard of the Palais Royal. The shaded lanes of Père Lachaise Cemetery on the edge of the city for quiet walks off the beaten path. Plus some of the markets, gardens, and squares perhaps only locals would know about.
Most coach tours show you the most popular places in Paris, and that's fine because you need that for your bucket list. However, these tours don't give you a sense of place, a sense of the authentic Paris. Well, I'm meeting with Jonathan Holborn. He's a local expert, and he's showing me his personal Paris. Jonathan, right? Hello.
David.
Good to see you.
Glad to meet you too.
So we're going to start our tour in this place. This is Montmarte, isn't it?
It is. And you've been here before, I know. And you've been up to see Sacré-Cœur, which is where...
As everyone has.
The masses go, indeed.
Yeah.
I thought today we'd have a look at a little bit of the off-the-beaten-track Montmartre, where some of the real charm you can still find, and something that you're going to love.
This is still a village, after all, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And this is a village up until 1860, when Paris swallowed it up. So it's still got that charm and that village feel.
Jonathan is Trafalgar's expert in Paris, a longtime resident who's just as passionate as he is knowledgeable about his adopted city. Montmartre, a quaint neighborhood overlooking Paris, is famous for the Basilica Sacré-Cœur that towers above. Less known, however, is the area's long association with artists who stayed here. Writers like Marcel Aimé, the author of The Walker Through Walls, a children's classic.
So you have the painters, the writers living in this part of Paris.
Yeah, exactly.
Was there a reason for that? Rents were probably cheaper. That's one reason.
Smart man, right on the
But
money.
there's more to it. There's a community.
There's a bit more to it than that, but essentially, yeah, this was outside of Paris, so the cheapest rent possible. For the artists, it's now the highest point in Paris because Paris swallowed it up in 1860. But back at the time in the 1800s, a lot of pollution, a lot of smog. So being on a hill, perfect if you want to actually get some proper painting done because you're above the smog level. And there is the third and usual reason for starving artists: cheap booze. This is the one part of Paris, still to this day, the one and only vineyard within Paris. So there's a vineyard here that produced dreadful, some of the most appalling substances known to mankind, but it was cheap.
A real vineyard.
Exactly.
The vineyard still exists, as do a number of windmills from the 19th century.
So you've taken me to this street corner because of this one over here.
Fantastic view of the Moulin de la Galette, rechristened Moulin de la Galette windmill, after the famous Renoir painting, the famous windmill that was here, the original nightclub, the precursor to the Moulin Rouge.
And how many were there originally?
14 windmills up here in total on the top of Montmartre. And
this was the countryside of Paris,
that
basically.
was it. Yeah, this is fresh milk from the cow and the windmills. This is a painting by Marais, and this is exactly how it was. So people get together at the end of a working day, have a glass of wine, a glass of beer, somebody brings out an accordion. It doesn't take long before one of the windmill owners thinks,
Make some
business
money
plan,
out of it.
let's make some cash out of this.
The bohemian vibe of Montmartre was a magnet for artists like Picasso, or rather, it was their presence here that created a bohemian feel. large parts have been gentrified since, but there are still corners where the creative energy is real.
This was always the artist's quarter, okay. So even Monet came up here at one point, but Renoir lived up here, who knew Vincent van Gogh, who knew Toulouse-Lautrec, they all knew each other, so it's a really incredible moment in Impressionism and Post-Impressionism.
If you were living in Paris,
exactly.
Here and these were your brothers.
Yes, yeah, your brothers and sisters that you would, because there's Suzanne Valadon, who was the muse of Renoir. She became a painter in her own right.
This is one of the best spots in Montmartre. It's the view from Place de Lida. This is actually a famous scene, and if you follow Impressionist painters, you might recall this particular view. The Sacré-Cœur, the village in the foreground. Yes, even Auguste Renoir painted it. In fact, he just lived a few meters from here, and this was his view in the morning.
Many write off Montmartre as a tourist trap, but away from the Sacré-Cœur and the main square, the neighborhood is still very much like the village it once was before the city swallowed it. It's the same with other popular parts of Paris you'd least expect a village feel to still exist. Neighborhoods like the Marais, in the historic center of the city. Upmarket boutiques aside, the unpretentious cafes, lively neighborhood markets, and family-run shops all give the Marais a refreshing touch of authenticity. Pain de Sucre, a local patisserie owned by the same man who bakes these macarons fresh daily, is considered one of the best, if not the best, in Paris, and I have to agree. Around the corner at the Musée des Archives are two more hidden treasures of Paris. Literally hidden, that is. The first, a section of the old walls of the city, which no one seems to notice. The other, the shaded gardens of the National Archives, a quiet park few realize is actually open to the public. You could spend the whole day spotting hidden gems in the Marais, some grand like the turreted Hôtel de Seine, others mere curiosities, like an embedded cannonball on the walls of the former Archbishop's Palace, fired by a mob during the French Revolution. It's true when they say that Paris is a museum, because pretty much everything you look at and everything you walk through is a work of art or a piece of history. Indeed, it's hard leaving Paris. And if one has to do so, it's best to say farewell with one last look at the bridges and monuments along the Seine with a Bateau Parisien dinner cruise at night. Then you'll understand why Paris is also called La Ville Lumière, the City of Light. About 300 sites across the city are illuminated at nightfall, including 33 of the 37 bridges along the Seine. The Eiffel Tower itself is lit by 20,000 light bulbs that sparkle at the top of every hour. The dazzling display of lights across Paris leaves you breathless, no matter how many times you've seen it before. And that's all for this episode of Executive Class. I'm David Celdran in Paris. Thanks for watching.